Tommy Fury versus Eddie Hall coming up this weekend, 13th of June. Obviously, we're going to break down the fight, look at each side, what's going to happen, and my view of how the fight will go. So, getting into the detail, a big fight, obviously, two big influencers in the space. I'm inclined to call Tommy Fury more of an influencer than he is a boxer these days, because he is. He's more famous off Love Island than he is in his boxing career, and Eddie Hall is more famous for being a big guy who's the world's strongest man. So neither are really famous or selling this fight as per they are boxers. Obviously, Tommy Fury is a pro boxer, but yeah, I think most of his fans are coming from elsewhere at current. And look, there is a massive weight advantage for Eddie Hall. He's going to be 45 to 60 kilo above Fury, I think, at time of weigh-in and fight, which is just massive. That is the size of a person. That's an easy way to say it. 45 to 60 kilo. 60 kilo is a person. That is clear. In 45, look, that is a massive weight difference between two fighters. That I think it's one of the biggest we've ever seen, to be honest. Obviously, a fight where it's not as gimmicky fight. I would say it's not where Eddie Hall has faced the two guys at once before. Obviously, a massive weight disadvantage for them guys, and a massive weight advantage for Eddie Hall there, but. Where there's actually been two fighters who are looking to, box and be boxers, I don't think we've seen it before. Eddie Hall obviously will have massive power, massive strength behind them punches, and one shot will put Tommy Fury down from Eddie, because he is just massive. And in the clinch, there is no way Tommy Fury is going to want to clinch with Eddie Hall, who's going to be 45 to 60 kilo, more heavy than him. He's going to throw him around in there. I do think clearly the technical side goes to Tommy. I think the technical side is very much lacking from Eddie Hall. I think the stamina is lacking from Eddie Hall as well. I don't think you can carry that much weight and that much muscle on a sort of a bodybuilder, a world strongest man sort of level. Okay, he's not his height of world strongest man weight for sure, but he's still that shape. He's still built like that, and that weight takes stamina away. Stamina is built. You've got to be lean in a sense of it. You've got to be as lean as possible, and he just won't be. And against a guy that much less weight, carrying an extra 45, 60 kilo around the ring, it's going to be tiring. It's going to be massively tiring. Firing off them shots where, look, he could knock him out for sure, will be a lot more tiring firing off them shots, because there's just so much more weight to throw behind his arms than Tommy Fury has. And look, Tommy Fury's been training boxing all his life for sure. I don't think he'll ever be a world champion. I think he'd be a very lackluster pro fighter, even. If I had to be a bit direct about it, I don't think he's got the ability to do really much in the ring against many pro fighters. But in this fight, he'll be much more agile. He'll have the speed. He'll have the technical knowledge of a professional boxer about how to defend yourself, get behind a jab, move around the ring. And look, he's only got to survive. And you're thinking, this will be a 12-round fight. No. It's a 2-minute round, 6-round fight. And I'll leave that with you a minute. Look, this looks bad. And this, I would suggest, comes from an Eddie Hall camp where, look, he knows he can't stand with Tommy Fury for 12 rounds, 3 minutes with that much weight around him. He just can't. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be a very boring fight. And look, this may not have directly came from Eddie Hall, but from an event standpoint, they know he cannot fire off like they want him to be entertaining for 12 rounds with 3 minute around. And so look, it's a 6-round fight, 2 minutes around. Who does that benefit most? Yes, it benefits Eddie. He can fire off more. He can try and go for something more. I think it does benefit though Tommy Fury, where he just has to dance around a ring for 6 rounds, 2 minutes. It's gonna be light work for Tommy Fury to move, jab, but in a sense, boxes where around a 6 round, 2 minute rounds, and what you want for Eddie is probably longer rounds. So you can try and back him up, and if he does catch him, you can try and finish it. Tommy Fury only has to survive very little minutes or seconds if he does get hurt in any of these rounds. Okay, if he gets hurt at the start, it's 2 minutes, it's quite long, but really I think Eddie starts coming into, if he's going to come into the fight, he comes into rounds, especially later on when Tommy's been dancing around the ring or behind his jab for a good minute or two. And I think being 2 minutes, I think Eddie Hall's going to come into the rounds a bit too late, really, for the fight. And if it's 3 minutes, maybe he gets a chance. In saying that, who do I think is going to win? I think Tommy Fury wins. I think he goes around the ring, he gets behind a jab, as I said, uses the speed of the hands, and boxes Eddie, really boxes him to a decision win. For sure. I think Eddie Hall runs forward in a sense of it. I think he runs at him at some points, trying to get something on him. I think he does sometimes just clip him with something or whatever. I think both are going to have a lackluster performance. I think I think the public's going to say post this, and myself, it's quite a boring fight. I would say I think Eddie Hall's going to have to sprint forward and go for stuff, and he's going to be tired after 6 rounds, which just shows, look, is this really something we want to see again? And Tommy Fury is going to totally show he's nowhere near a level or a pro boxer that we want to see go for any sort of towards a world title or anything like that. And I think he knows that. I think the fact he's faced JJ, he's fought Jake Paul, yeah, they were big money fights, of course, they were massive. But even now, facing Eddie Hall, he's not even going for a big fight where a lot of boxers, a lot of true pro boxers will go for a fight with him because he's worth the money. And so he could wangle his way very well with the amount of tickets he would sell, the amount of money that is behind Tommy Fury in a sense that he would sell tickets, could get a very high place in a boxing, towards a world championship quite quickly, I think. But that's another option that he's not really taken, which shows me, and it shows me in the JJ and Jake Paul fights, he's not anywhere near the level that he needs to be a world champion or even a pro boxer. To be honest, I think he gets found out very quickly if he goes pro and if he starts doing the pro route of boxing. Clearly had fights, obviously he's had fights, but I don't see it anymore. I think he's doing the right thing, and granted, I give him all the props in the world. Look, he's getting the money that every boxer wants, and he's figured out that, look, I'm a big enough influencer, big enough name outside the ring that I can use that to get boxing fights within the ring that are very beneficial for me, where I don't have to go against these pro boxers. I can go against these other fighters that are lesser and bigger names outside the ring, where they'll sell even more tickets. And really, even if I went for a world championship, I think it'd be hard for him to sell more tickets than he has against JJ or Jake Paul. So, look, I think Tommy Fury gets the decision. I think it's a lackluster performance from both. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.